What the United Kingdom has just accomplished is scriptural. It's confirmed. A nation has begun implementing the BEAST system. On September 26, 2025, Prime Minister Keir Starmer stood before the British people and revealed something that should send shivers down the spine of every believer. A digital identification system that will become mandatory for employment by 2029. You'll be shocked when I share 5 revelations about this event. Revelation 1, the UK's digital ID. What just happened? Let me explain exactly what happened on September 26, 2025, because the details matter more than most realize. Prime Minister Keir Starmer announced the UK's new digital ID plan. He called it free and voluntary. However, there's a catch. It will become required for employment verifications by 2029. In a society where employment is necessary to survive, how voluntary is this really? Within 7 days of this declaration, something unprecedented happened. More than 2.75 million people signed a petition against this digital ID system. This is the fastest-growing digital rebellion in British history. The British are terrified, and they should be. But what makes this even more worrying is this. This isn't a physical card you can leave at home. It's not something you can choose not to carry. This digital ID resides on your smartphone. It's embedded in apps. It's part of your digital existence. The system will control access to employment, banking, healthcare, benefits, voting, and even age-restricted purchases. Reports are already emerging that the Gov.uk Check app is being automatically installed on iPhones through links from the NHS app. People are waking up to find surveillance software on their phones without their consent. Consider what this means. Lose your phone, lose access to society, refuse ID, lose your job, resist the system, be flagged as suspect. But here's the question that should keep every believer awake at night. What happens when this ID is tied to purchasing power, access to healthcare, freedom of movement, or even a belief system? Because this is just the beginning. Revelation 2. How does this correspond to Revelation 13? Now let me show you something that will absolutely blow your mind. Turn with me to Revelation 13, 16 to 17. And he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark on their right hand or on their foreheads, and that no one may buy or sell except one who has the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Note the parallels. It applies to all. The UK system is designed for all citizens and legal residents. Universal coverage, small and large, rich and poor. This affects everyone, regardless of social status. Wealthy executives and poor workers alike will need this ID to be employed, so that no one can buy or sell. Impossible to work without this ID, impossible to access banking services without verification, impossible to participate in the economy without digital compliance. The Apostle John envisioned a system where economic participation would be controlled by a mark or identifier. The United Kingdom just announced exactly that, a digital identifier that controls access to employment and financial services. But what makes this even more prophetic is the potential future connection to central bank digital currency. The UK is already testing programmable money, digital currency that can be controlled, restricted, and monitored by government authorities. Imagine money that expires, that can only be spent on approved items, that tracks every transaction made. The foundation for a society-wide control grid is being built silently, legally, and globally, and most people are too distracted to notice. But here's the question that should terrify every student of prophecy. Why is this happening now? Why does it match so perfectly the sequence the Bible described 2,000 years ago? Revelation 3. Is this just a UK issue? This is where it gets really disturbing. What's happening in the UK isn't isolated. It's not a unique British experiment. It's part of a coordinated global system being implemented nation by nation, step by step, using the same playbook. Revelation 17 to 12 to 13. And the 10 horns which you saw are 10 kings who have received no kingdom as yet, but they receive authority as kings for 1 hour with the beast. These have one mind and will give their power and authority to the beast. A coordinated global system where multiple nations have one mind and give their power to a central authority. Let me show you exactly how this is already happening. Estonia, the model digital society. Estonia has had a comprehensive EID system since 2002. Every Estonian citizen over the age of 15 has a mandatory digital ID card. They can't vote without it, can't access banking services without it, can't receive medical care without it, and can't own property without it. 99% of all government services require a digital ID. Estonians call their country the most advanced digital society in the world. But what happens when this digital society decides someone is a threat? What happens when the system they depend on for everything turns against them? Estonia's model is being studied and replicated worldwide. It's no coincidence that the UK system follows exactly the same architecture. The European Union implemented the EIDAS regulation, creating interoperable digital identities across all 27 member nations. A digital identity that works in Germany, France, Italy, Spain, the entire European Union. But what's terrifying is that the EU is now working on EIDAS 2.0, which will require all member states to provide digital identity cards to their citizens. Not optional, but mandatory. By 2026, every person in the European Union will have a government-controlled digital identity. Think about that. Nearly 500 million people under a digital ID system. China has already implemented the system that other nations are building. Its social credit system monitors each citizen's behavior, assigns scores based on compliance, and restricts access to services based on those scores. A low social credit score means no airline tickets, no loans, no children allowed to attend certain schools, no high-speed internet access, no stays in good hotels. The Chinese government no longer needs to arrest dissidents. They simply lower their social credit scores and let economic pressure do the rest. And what should absolutely terrify them is that Western technology companies helped build China's surveillance system. These same companies are now building digital identity systems in the UK, Europe, and North America. What appears to be national policy is actually part of an international playbook. The World Economic Forum has been promoting digital identity systems through its Known Traveler Digital Identity Program. The same organizations promoting climate lockdowns, central bank digital currencies, and stakeholder capitalism are also promoting digital identity systems. This isn't a conspiracy theory. These are publicly stated goals from publicly available documents from international organizations that openly describe their plans for global governance. Here's what the global system looks like when we connect all the pieces. Digital identity systems that prove who you are and control access to services. Central bank digital currencies that control how you spend and what you can buy. Social credit systems that control privileges based on compliance. Carbon credit systems that control consumption based on environmental metrics. The biblical warning in Revelation 13:7, "And it was given unto him to make war with the saints, and to overcome them. And power was given him over every kindred, tongue, and nation." Over every kindred, tongue, and nation. Not just one country, not just one region. Global authority, worldwide control, universal conformity. We're watching the infrastructure for this global system being built right now. Nation by nation, system by system, crisis by crisis. This is the infrastructure of tyranny being built in the name of security, efficiency, and progress. And most people are too distracted by entertainment, politics, and daily survival to notice what's happening. Now, I know what some are thinking. This isn't the mark of the beast. The Bible says it's on the hand or forehead, not on a phone. And they're right. This probably isn't the final mark John described. But here's what every believer needs to understand. Not everything prophetic happens instantly. Sometimes it begins subtly, deceptively, laying the infrastructure for what is to come. The greatest deceptions don't announce themselves as evil. They come disguised as progress, security, convenience, and social responsibility. 1 Thessalonians 5:3. For when they say peace and safety, then sudden destruction comes upon them, as labor pains upon a pregnant woman, and they shall not escape. The UK government is selling this digital ID as peace and security, protection against fraud, protection against illegal immigration, protection against identity theft. But what if this security is actually the foundation for unprecedented control? Here's how I see it. If this isn't the brand itself, it's definitely the dress rehearsal. Once the digital infrastructure is built, once people depend on digital systems for survival, once resistance becomes impossible, all it takes is a single global crisis to flip the switch. Economic collapse, pandemic, war, climate emergency, food shortages. Any crisis that requires emergency measures and temporary restrictions that are somehow never lifted. Revelation 4. From ID to beast, how this can escalate. Let me show you how this might progress based on biblical prophecy and current technology. Phase 1. Digital ID becomes a requirement for employment. We're already here in the UK. Phase 2. Banking and social assistance systems integrate with digital ID. It's impossible to access benefits, open accounts, or conduct financial transactions without verification. Phase 3. Social credit scores influence privileges. Good citizens receive full access. Dissidents receive restricted access. We are already seeing this model in China. Phase 4. The system becomes tied to belief systems. Christians who refuse to compromise, who will not affirm anti-biblical ideologies, who resist government overreach, are cut off from economic participation. Daniel 7:25, and he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and shall intend to change times and laws, and they shall be given into his hand for a time, and times, and half a time. Destroy the saints, not necessarily through physical persecution, but through systematic pressure, economic famine, social isolation, and digital exclusion. Here's the terrifying thing. No conspiracy theory is needed to see how this happens. All the features of this system of control are already public and legal in UK policy documents. The technology exists. The legal framework is in place. Enforcement mechanisms are being tested. And the UK is not the end. It may just be the beginning of a system that envelops the world in digital chains, disguised as digital convenience. So how should believers respond to what we are witnessing? First, remember Psalm 2:1-4. Why do the nations rage and the people plot a vain thing? The kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord and against his anointed. They say, let us break their bands asunder and cast away their cords from us. He who sits in the heavens will laugh. The Lord will have them in derision. God is not surprised by digital surveillance systems. He is not caught off guard by government overreach. He is not concerned about technological tyranny. He sits in the heavens and laughs at the futile rebellion of human rulers. Second, study Revelation 14:9-12. And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast and his image, and receive his mark on his forehead or on his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of God, which is poured out full strength into the cup of his indignation. And he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. And the smoke of their torment ascendeth up forever and ever, and they have no rest day nor night, who worship the beast and his image, and whosoever receiveth the mark of his name. Here is the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of God and the faith of Jesus. There will be saints who persevere. There will be believers who refuse the mark. There will be Christians who choose economic hardship over spiritual commitment. What will happen to those who refuse the mark of the beast? What if I told you that you will soon have to make the greatest choice in all of history? You will be shocked. Consequence: 1. Banned from buying. The new economic prison. This first consequence is the quickest and perhaps the most crushing for unprepared families. The moment they say no to the mark, they will be cut off from the world's monetary system. Revelation 13:17 says, "So that no one may buy or sell except he who has the mark." Not some people, not most people, no one. This is no small ban. This is a total lockdown. Unable to buy food, impossible to pay rent, impossible to buy gasoline, impossible to pay for electricity, impossible to buy medicine for sick children. Within a day of refusing the brand, they will face hunger. Within a week, they will be homeless. Within a month, they will be cut off from all modern life. Now, you might think this can't happen. How could a system track every purchase on Earth? Let me show you how close we are. In Sweden, cash accounts for less than 2% of purchases. Most stores no longer accept cash. Everything is digital. Everything is tracked. Everything can be controlled. Central bank digital currencies are being rolled out around the world, allowing governments to control every penny spent. These aren't private cryptocurrencies. They're government digital dollars that can be shut down instantly. But here's the scary part. The technology already exists to link payment capabilities to the body. Your fingerprint, your face, your DNA could become your wallet. And if that wallet is shut down, you're broke. Imagine waking up tomorrow and your cards don't work. Your bank account is frozen. Every store scans your face and says access is denied. Every digital payment rejects your fingerprint. Your kids are hungry, but they can't buy food. Your rent is due, but you can't pay. Your car runs out of gas, but no one will sell it. This is economic exile, total, instantaneous, crushing. And here's the chilling part. It's designed to crush the mind before killing the body. They want you to watch scarred families eat while their children starve. They want you to see scarred people live comfortably while they lose everything. The pressure will seem unbearable. Every day they resist, the family suffers more. Every day they resist, life becomes more difficult. The emotional pain will be worse than any physical pain. But here's what the enemy doesn't want you to know, and what will shock you about our second consequence. As the world turns its back, something supernatural happens that most believers have never seen. Consequence: 2. Divine protection. Supernatural provision and security. This is where the story shifts, bringing chills and hope. As the world tries to starve them, God will bring a plan of protection He has prepared for thousands of years. Revelation 12:6 says, "The woman fled into the wilderness, where she has a place prepared by God, so that she may be nourished there for 1,260 days." Notice the words, a place prepared by God. This is not a last-minute rescue. This is a planned system of help. Isaiah 33:16 says, "He will dwell on high. The strongholds of the rocks will be his refuge. His bread will be given him, and his waters will be sure." The bread will be given. The waters will be sure. Not perhaps. They will be. You might think this sounds too good to be true. Food and water from God in modern times. Remember what God did before. For 40 years in the wilderness, God fed 3 million Israelites with manna from heaven. Every morning, fresh bread lay on the ground. Their clothes never wore out. Their shoes never broke. Water came from rocks. When Elijah was hunted by King Ahab, God sent ravens twice a day with bread and meat. During a 3.5-year famine, Elijah never went hungry. When a widow had only a little flour and oil left, God made it last for years to feed her, her son, and Elijah. When 5,000 were hungry, Jesus took 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish and fed them all with 12 baskets left over. The same God is still at work. His power has not faded. His love has not diminished. And here's what's even more encouraging. God has prepared for this time. Psalm 91 says, "He who dwells in the secret place of the Most High will abide under the shadow of the Almighty. Surely he will deliver you from the snare of the fowler and from the deadly pestilence. He will cover you with his feathers, and under his wings you will find refuge. His truth will be your shield and buckler." And verse 7 says, "1,000 may fall at your side, and 10,000 at your right hand, but it will not come near you." Food and shelter, protection from danger, peace in the midst of chaos. Christians today in underground churches report miracles like these. But they must understand, God's protection does not erase all hardship. It transforms hardship into spiritual growth. Which brings us to the third consequence. As they struggle with doubts, forces will work to break them with persecution. The question is no longer if the system will come, but when, and which side of history you will be on when the ultimate choice is presented.